case you are there and want to fight for your freedom, they will bring you here for you to die. They could have shot them easy, but they said no. They were in chains and shackles. No food, water, air. 3 doors to shut on them here, so you will suffocate till you die here.
Oh. So, this.
Let's go.
Yeah, we are going. It's safe, yeah? Yeah. Nice.
Hey, that's what they do for here.
So here we are. Bang bang. Divine. Yo, T.
Yo. You know the period, Kakum National Park. That's the park.
Yeah.
The palm one.
Yeah.
The fresh one. Yeah, we didn't say. The first say.
The senior.
We see the black sea.
And more there.
About 200 tourist elephants in here. Also about 500,000 species of insects, including 600 species of butterflies.
So survey all the places in the castle here. Mama who baby answer on top of a dungeon for them to build their church. It was more or less like heaven for those up there, hell for those here. Because whilst they were propagating the gospel, love your neighbor as yourself. And then I don't know the kind of God they worship.
So in Ghana, March isn't just another month, it's a period where the country celebrates its culture, heritage, and history, because on the 6th of March 1957, Ghana got its independence.
Ghana, your beloved country is free forever.
So, for us, it was the moment to experience and learn the history of our forefathers and also have a bit of adventure. The plan is to visit 3 historical locations in the same day. And you might be wondering if it's possible. Well, if you are curious to know, then stick with us on this journey.
We're moving around 5. It's 5 o'clock on the dot. What's up, bro? Everything nice. Nice side.
Tony, Oloto, Charlie.
About to set off.
No mind now. Talent go. Talent, and I mean you can.
Yo, yeah, let's go, bro.
For our first destination, we decided on the Kakum National Park, and it took us roughly 3 hours and 30 minutes from Accra.
Kakum National Park, that's the park.
Yeah.
The palm one.
Yeah.
The fresh one. Yeah, we didn't say. The first say.
The senior.
We see the black sea.
And more there.
We were met by street vendors right at the entrance of the park, and we had to patronize them. We got some freshly harvested palm wine and kusiane meko, that's boiled egg and pepper.
Oh, more there. Hey, another one goes here.
Right after, we made our way into the park, made payment, and followed our tour guide to begin the adventure.
I'm backing on the canopy walk. I don't want to talk much about it. Let's get out there and then experience it for ourselves. But when we get there, we'll just look at a brief history about it and then how to use it. And then if you have any question about the canopy walk, you reserve it for when we get there. Lastly, we have animal viewing. So sometimes we have people coming around to do bird watching. Yeah, we have bird watchers coming around. So usually people like to know if we have animals over here. We have a lot of animals over here. We have about 200 forest elephants in here. We also have about 500,000 species of insects, including 600 species of butterflies. And then for mammals, reptiles, and amphibians, we have about 100 species of each. I'll give a few examples, then we go. Mammals, we have animals like bongos, duikers, leopards, monkeys, etc. Reptiles, let me say lizards, chameleons, snakes, etc. And then I'll say frogs for the amphibians.
The moment we've all been waiting for is finally here. But are we truly ready to face our fears? This 350-meter canopy walk, suspended high above the forest, was a collaborative effort between Canadians and Ghanaians, built between 1993 and 1994.
Okay. So, this. Let's go. Yeah, we are going. It's safe, yeah? Nice. Hey, that's what they do for you, eh? So here we are. Bang bang. Divine. Yo, T. Yo. You know the Filesiano. Yo. Look how it turned out. It's a shake that something. See how it makes steady for them. This one, they're for pushing for ground. Yo, this is super scary. See, bright. See, responding.
We all successfully completed the full length of the canopy walk, even though it was one of the scariest experiences ever. Our next destination is the Cape Coast Castle, which is a 30-minute ride from the park. The Cape Coast Castle was built by the Swedes in 1653 and later controlled by the British. It was a key hub in the transatlantic slave trade. For over 150 years, enslaved Africans were held in its dungeons before being shipped to the Americas.
Here happens to be a cell called condemnation cell, and it was meant for the peoples who wanted to fight for their freedom in the dungeon. So if in case you are there and want to fight for your freedom, they will bring you here for you to die. They could have shot them easily, but they said no. They were in chains and shackles. No food, water, air. 3 doors to shut on them here, so you will suffocate till you die here. Until the last person dies here, nobody move out. A soldier will be standing here to go and check if all of them are found dead. When he goes inside and sees one person not dead, he will come back. Until the last person dies here, then they will bring all the dead bodies to the courtyard here. I feel I come from one more dungeon, so I'm not sure. It will be an agent, so I'm going to cast her. And I'm a fool, and I said dead bodies never went into Nobejai. So it was just a way to control the slaves in the castle here. So we all go inside to have a feed, then we come back from here. Fine, can we just watch your head? Okay. It is left with only one door here, but then you can still see how dark the room is. Imagine if all 3 doors were here, you can't stay here for even 2-3 years. Because before they were brought here, they were first beaten up at the courtyard. They were weak and they were in chains and shackles.
What was the offense? Why
they have no problem.
They want their freedom. So who need their freedom when you are dead?
Alright, so if let's say I'm chained with my brother here.
They want to go and sell you.
Please, it's okay. So if I'm chained with my brother here and I happens to be the first one to die, because we are chained together, he has to bear the stench, smell, infection till he dies as well. And the soldiers come inside and see I am the only person found dead, we'll go back until the 2 of us are dead before the bodies will be taken out. So what we will say here is, may God give us the strength to resist against any oppressors, and that may their soul continue to rest.
Oh wow.
The male slave dungeon here, we have 5 rooms. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And each room would hold about 150 to 200 men. So mathematically, 5 giving us about 700 to 1,000 men total. So you over here, you show say, bedroom, so said we don't know where we be and say. Slaves they we have the domestic ones and the commercial ones. The commercial ones were those kept here to await the shipment. The domestic ones were those coming to clean the dungeons. But because they were not doing that every day, when they come, the food that they could clean, they cover the rest with sand. So it goes to a time the sand mixes up with their fuses, vomit, tears, blood, everything, and it's accumulated to a level like this. So the floor that we are standing on right now, it happens to be the original floor of the dungeon. Maybe even so from the second room to the last room, the friends say decomposed waste. She said, even until I want toilet and I say, oh John, so maybe Biafra from the second room to the last room. The entire you must say how different from the rest of the chambers is that, and maybe I was saying a student from the University of Ghana, or more behind me to 2 has said, almost 2 has said, no more am I saying? The chair said at first all this place was something like this before the excavation took place here. You see the trenches in the middle there, there is a gap now, serving as the passageway for the liquid waste to pass through the sea. For the Europeans, they believe that when it rains and the direction of the rain, you should direct the rain through these holes to come and wash everything into the sea. So this is said, incredible and so. If you die here as an African, there is no befitting burial for you. Their bodies were loaded into sacks. They would add cannon balls to it, then they would throw it to the sea. So the Atlantic Ocean there, it happens to be a mass burial for most of our ancestors. And so our friend who are having this room casting. Hey. So here is the last chamber. And I said, and then you try to hold the element back. I have some midnight night in the one, the problem says, still, I had that so shrine, and now go in the wall. So normally the ship do arrive at dawn, and this hole gave them light to separate the weaker ones from the stronger ones. The weaker ones, they were kept here to test their faith. The castle here, they had doctors and nurses to examine each slave. It's all one answer in case of Humberto. Now all back home in the Hamuna. Then we say one to now some Kujava, also train of my brush in the Kaku National Park. It's a mechanic, I watch our high and dark. I say, watch our baby 3 to 4 months. Often say, ship with the man, that's not
It's room separation. So, how long are they the ship go?
That's why I said 3 to 4 months. Oh, okay. Because the ship has to be passed from Europe to Africa here, from Africa to the Americas, Americas to Europe again, triangular transatlantic. It's a stronger ones, no more person on the Papa in a ship. If you say, some of your margins on Bears or you can't control them. Also, you didn't want those in the community to see whatever was happening here. And the underground for her to see her say, the women now be from. And the Coppins of Magasa, when you were born, was on to shape in my door. And then we knew me and to me far a bomb. If you say, in the year 1834, Captain George McLean, who was the administrator in the castle here, was commanded to block both the entrance and the exit point to symbolize British end of slavery. On top of this room was a church. The name of the church was Society for the Propagation of the Gospel. Let's say Anglican so my Ghana has said. The Anglican so many now shall say or cast it has said. A born and moons are down, and they are sorry than this or more pass or you move pretty free than you. Maybe a better course or have a feedback and a fact a bomb. It wasn't a mistake because if you go to the Elmina Castle, when the Dutch fought the Portuguese there, they brought the Dutch Reformed Church on top of the female dungeon. When you go to those who castle, the Presbyterian Church on top of a dungeon. So ask yourself why all the places in the castle here, on top of a dungeon, for them to build their church. It was more or less like heaven for those up there, hell for those here. Because whilst they were propagating the gospel, love your neighbor as yourself. And then I don't know the kind of God they worship. So the female slave dungeon here, we have 2 rooms, the one here and the one right opposite us, 100 to 150. So the 2 rooms will give us about 200 to 300 women combined. the holes 1, 2, 3, they are source of light and ventilation. You can see a window here. It was having iron bars. So it was where they would stand and select whoever they want to rape. Because the rooms were smelling. You cannot come inside and be going around to select. They will stand there, they will select, the soldiers will come and take them outside. If in case you accept it, then they will wash you down to the governor's bedroom. If you don't, to the punishment cell here. The conditions here were not different from the conditions at the main dungeon. To me, I would say that sometimes the conditions here were a little bit difficult or higher than the men. Because we all know the female menstrual cycle. So if in case you are to stay here for about 3-4 months, then you menstruate 3-4 months without bathing. So there's stench, smell, infection, everything here. And I told you they had their last bath at Asema, where their beards and hairs were shaved, the smell shed butter on their skin. So in the castle here, nobody bath. For the men, no. But for the females, the only time a female will get a chance to bath is when she is a candidate for rape. If they select you and you accept it, then they will wash you down to the governor's bedroom. Sometimes you could be here with your little boy or little daughter because the way they were being captured or the way they were being brought here, it was through kidnapping already. Sometimes they set fire on their farmlands, in their houses, so as they are running away, they capture them. Others too, they promise them they will give them a better life out there. They agree to follow them, then they end up in the dungeons here. So sometimes it could be the whole family here. And if let's say maybe 8 years boy is being captured with the mom, they won't say he's a boy, so they will take him to the male dungeon. No, he will be here with the mother or sister or whoever he was being captured with. Our ancestors using this door, and for them not being able to come back, everything started at the door of no return. When Marcus Garvey said that peoples without their knowledge of culture, race or tribe, they are like a tree without a root. The root that he was talking about was taken away from us at the door of no return. And someone asked me, what is this root? It is our names. With African naming system, you are given life assignments. Your name should correspond with your family, friends, identity, everything. So even if I don't know these people, the moment they mention their name to me, I should be able to tell where they are coming from. It became a bigger door because at the time Cape Coast was the first capital town of Ghana, and that this council was the seat of government when Ghana was in the colonial time. So they have to change that short door to a bigger one. We call it the door of no return because the moment you pass here to the ship, either to the Americans or the Caribbeans, you won't come back. Door of no return because the moment you use here, you lose your connection, identity, friends, family, everything. So if you are called Kojo, Ama, or any local name here, when you get there, you'll be given your slave master's name. So that identity you have as an African here, you will lose it there. To the southern part, they were taken to places like Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, Peru, and so on. Brazil had the highest concentration because it was a Portuguese colony. All the slaves at Elmina Castle, they were taken to Brazil. So currently, Ghana, Togo, Benin combined, we can't match the blacks in Brazil now. The blacks in Brazil now are more than these 3 countries combined. And to the northern side, they were taken to places like New York, North and South Carolina, Jamestown, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Florida, and so on. And to the Caribbeans, they were taken to places like Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, Bahamas, Dominican Republic, Antigua, St. Vincent, Trinidad and Tobago, and so on. Today, we are not slaves anymore. That we all use the door of no return. But for us, we shall return. The best caption we can give everybody here is Akwaba, that you are welcome. Also, we try to share a message across because we believe when the Europeans came here, if the blacks came together to fight them here, we don't think the slave would have been that successful because everybody was like, I don't care. It's not me. That's why they were able to stay here for a long time and even damage us as well. Today, they are not here, but they are still here because we are still seeing injustice around. In the year 1992, during the Pan African celebration, the chiefs in Ghana here, they all came together to bring a message to us that they are sorry because their predecessors were involved in the trade. It wasn't only the Europeans who were doing that. Like I said, some of the blacks were involved. Two, to tell us never to forget about the past, to repeat that same mistake again. And their message reads, in everlasting memory of the anguish of our ancestors. May those who died rest in peace. May those who returned find their roots. And may humanity never again perpetrate such injustice against humanity. And that we, the living, vow to uphold this. So as a living being, if you don't want yourself to be enslaved, don't involve yourself in any act or form of slavery. Like Martin Luther King Jr. once told us, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We all should be an agent of change because tomorrow is never promised. Once again, I'm called Richard. It's a pleasure to be your guide. Thank you for coming.
Doba doba, doba doba.
After visiting Cape Coast Castle and considering the time and our journey back to Accra, we decided to bring our journey to an end. This means we couldn't do Elmina Castle, the first European slave trading post in all of Sub-Saharan Africa. But if you enjoyed this video and learned a thing or two, then consider subscribing, like, share, and wait for the next one. Thanks for watching.